Hail, hail, the Celts are here. And what the hell do we care now, guys? We are set for 10 Champions League matches this year. Oh, so buzzing, so hyped. Coming later today on the channel, where I'll be recording the kind of the breakdown, the analysis of the game last night, everything we kind of seen, the good, the bad, the difference between the first half, the second half, all that good stuff. We will also be live later tonight, 7:30 as usual, to kind of chew over the bones of everything that's happened this week, including what we're going to talk about right now here in this stream, the video that's to come, and previewing Celtic versus Dundee as we cast our eye towards the Battle of Birmingham, another Battle of Britain, as we used to call them back in the day, whenever we used to get Liverpool's and Man United's and Blackburns and all the rest of it. And we always turn up in these games. And anyway, we'll get to that in due course. Aston Villa very much on the ropes right now, very much more in need of the points than us. And sometimes that can just go in our favour, can't it? So we've got all that good stuff. But as you've probably seen from the title of the show today, if you're watching this live or after we've been live, at the end of the video on screen will pop up all the other stuff that's happening today. So you can go and check that out as and when it's all available, or you can set reminders before it happens. But the big breaking news we've had almost immediately at full time, the dust hadn't even settled. The confetti was still falling from the air. The bubbles were still in the champagne, and Rennes are in advanced talks to sign Kyogo for £10 million, €12 million is the somewhat reported fee. And there's a lot of chat in the ether that goes around that Jota, in a separate deal, will be making his return to paradise. And a deal that, on top of the inevitable return of Kieran Tierney that we have at this point, it's really what Celtic fans have been begging for by and large, the return of Jota, the return of Tierney. And, that just sets us off on a path now, I think, doesn't it? Because we expect Alexandre Ovalle to go to Como. His loan with us will be terminated. We need to make sure we get one of those Malik Tillman-style forever sell-on clauses involved in that one. But that's a story for another day, perhaps. But right before we get chucked into the deep end and go through not just what it means for the squad in terms of Jota's return potentially, but certainly Kyogo's departure, and then, replacements and the dynamic of the squad and all that good stuff. But let's drink it in, guys, because on the preview, and we'll go through the proper analysis and all that good stuff later today when the video comes out, of course, but drink it in. This is where we should be, firmly in that top half. That's where we are shooting for now, isn't it? Still a lot of moving parts, still the jamboree of football that's going to be happening next week to happen. And really, I think it's going to be Drama Lama City, this game next week. But right in amongst it, like a dog eating beetroot, we're on 12 points. I forget what I did on my prediction. I think I had us on for 15 or something like that. And I did have us to draw away to Villa. And again, we'll chat about Champions League and all the rest of it in due course. But we're mixing it, guys. The Lions are back in the jungle, and what does that mean? It means we're back in the transfer market now. It has been kind of in the ether, in the zeitgeist for, I don't know, I'm going to say about 7 or 8 months at this point. Kyogo's changed agent. There was links to Man City in the summer. There was links to, it wasn't Rennes, somebody else was linked to Atlanta United not that long ago. But now it's all about Stade Rennes, or Rennes, or whatever they want to call themselves. They're in advanced talks. And a lot of the original reporting that came out with this was basically that he might have played his last game for us, and that really should have been a hat-trick for him last night as well. It's so fine margins. It didn't come off, but it's one of these ones as well where it feels somewhat inevitable. Jesus, there's me popping up. Back in the day, me and Big Nellis. I don't know if any of you know John. John's quite a big deal these days, actually. Big John boy. Aye, that was a good derby game, that one. But Rennes, Jota set to make a Celtic return with Kyogo Furuhashi going in the other direction. This was amongst the... There's me again. There's a lot of the original reporting. So this is like... We've expected Kyogo to be kind of in the transfer, on display in the shop window. Is probably the best way of putting it. He is 30 years of age, as I think Ryan McGinley was highlighting there on the threads, on the tweets, sorry. And he did sign a big contract not too long ago. And, we spoke about it on the channel. Obviously, we've had a lot of growth over the last year, so some of you might be new around here. But, we were either going to get him until he was 32 and he was going to play the entirety of his peak of his years of his career at Celtic, and that would have been fine, or we're securing the ability to get his final transfer fee, without having it being like, oh, he's in his last 12 months, or, oh my God, he's out, and, like that kind of Greg Taylor situation that we find ourselves in, essentially. So with his recent change of agent, it just feels like the writing's been on the wall that he wants to move to a top 5 league, and fair play to him. Rennes, he's obviously not going to go on to win League One there or anything like that. It's a bit of a different division to try and upset the apple cart with, as it were. But certainly, it's a move where he could do well enough to just, give himself some validation in his career that he moved to a big league and could mix it with the Monacos and the PSGs. And Rennes will get themselves back into Europe this year if they keep up their kind of resurgence. They've been kind of hot. France has been a wee bit weird for how the domestic league shook out. A lot of bigger teams haven't been quite on it, and some of the wee teams that qualified for Europe are kind of struggling with all the fixture pile up and whatever. So France is a bit weird. Can't really write anything off, I suppose. But yeah, you could maybe see Kyogo quickly springboard from Rennes to someone else that might go on to win something somewhere. Bundesliga have often been interested in Kyogo as well. So if he does well in France, Bundesliga buy from France quite often. So maybe a wee cheeky selling is not out the equation for us in these advanced talks. And Sky Sports News understands an offer is on the table with the possibility of Jota returning being discussed separately. So I don't know what to think about this. I think the reported asking price for him is like £6 million at the moment, which, really for the grand scheme of things, like I think we could afford to pull that off in general. So I'm not, how do we think about this straight off the bat? I'm not too sure. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Kyogo's for me is like a modern day hero. Hero's probably the right word, I would say. He scored a lot of big goals, was a real talisman. And really, like, when you think about the depths of despair we were in when Ange, Kyogo, and Co all arrived at the club, like, they just got us right back. Even they got us back to like where we should have been. Like if we didn't have that blip season, if we had like spent well that summer, we actually got players that improved our starting 11, went on to win the. I don't want to bring it into. I don't want to name it at this point, But and I think Kyogo is a real symbol of really just quickly like, one transfer window, one change of manager. Sorry guys, I need to mute for a second. Didn't want you to hear that, sorry. So like I do have a lot of admiration, I have a lot of love for Kyogo. He will be sorely missed. It's nice that the club can get some sort of transfer fee for him, especially being 30. We're kind of like trebling our money on him at this point after having like how many years of fantastic service. I think this is his 5th season. So he's he's definitely a hero, no two ways about it. But there's a few bits and pieces. Now I think maybe the next place to start off with, before we look at, I had kind of like the tail of the tape for a few of these players kind of lined up, like Kyogo this season, like he's got a £10 million striker. I don't want to say that too loud, but like he's not been ever prolific this year. A few wee goals dotted around the season, some high moments, of course, scoring against Bratislava too. Again, it was a nice kind of month here, wasn't there? And the cup games don't show up on this. They might have had some decent games there that I'm kind of forgetting on the overview. But I think the best place to probably start with this is the tactics board, the depth chart, because we've not actually visited this since the summer transfer window, and it needs a little bit of updating if this stuff's going to move around. I think the last time we were on it, we had fully deleted Palma off the depth chart. But I think at this stage, we actually need to bring Palma back into the equation all of a sudden, because like the kind of interest in him seems to have disappeared. And there was even some speculation that the Vallecano move was all smoke and mirrors. It was even a real thing. But we've seen Welsh depart. He's on loan in Belgium at the moment. We've still got Valle. Mitchell Frame is still in the building, isn't he? Just not heard his name for a little while. Everyone else here is still in and around, aren't they, for the most part? So if we were to imagine Kyogo, this move is going to happen, because it feels like it's so widely reported at the moment, so many things point in this direction, that it's almost going to happen. We do have to have the addition here, but of Johnny Kenny, because he's not on the little depth chart here. And, there was some mad comments in the last week or so about Kenny standing in the squad, and Kenny isn't like he's not a bad, like, poor man's Kyogo domestically from the very little we've seen of him in the Europa Conference League for Shamrock Rovers and his cameo against Ross County. So he's definitely in the equation somewhere. Now, before I get right into the chat, there's a bunch of these here already. The first thing, somebody thinks Kyogo's going nowhere. Would love him to stay. Do you think there's a chance of that? Really, at this point? Would rather him stay until the end of the season. Me too, but feels like this deal is happening. Celtic don't say no to money. I'm kind of with Craig White, CSC #119 here. It's a fun name to say. And yeah, like this is maybe the sort of thing that'll happen because like the Villa game, we do not need anything from it. Daizen Maeda is already suspended, so you're going to be playing either starts the Villa game by default, I think, then at that stage, and you'll have Kun on one side, and with no Daizen, probably no Kyogo. You mean maybe looking at Yang. This is all maybe chat for another day, perhaps. But in any case, I know there's a few of you in the chat already. Yeah, be dizzy. I see you. Yeah, no. That's not the comment I thought I seen. Oh no, sorry, I've kind of read it wrong. That was the comment I seen, but where is the one? Oh, maybe I just read it wrong. But normally in a lot of these videos, one of the main chats says Daizen Maeda through the middle. Now, quite seriously, I don't think there is a better replacement for Kyogo Furuhashi in world football than Daizen Maeda in this position here. And then I think that means the return of Jota just becomes even more like impactful in the squad because Jota on the left, Kun on the right, Dyson through the middle. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, like tell me you don't like the sound of that. Tell me that's not everything that this team kind of wants and needs in a striker. And yeah, he wants to play in the World Cup. That's probably fair crack as well, Hercules. I never really thought about that dynamic with it. But like that could be incredible because if Dyson is staying as a wide forward and we do bring Jota back, we're back to that level of depth. We're actually probably way ahead of the game here from when we had Jota, Dyson, and Abada. When it was like very much you could take the cold one out and put the hot one in. And just kind of rotate them around here. We could have a return to that, I suppose, but I don't know. I've just got a wee feeling. I think we've all kind of seen that this is a possibility. Maybe Dyson becomes the Kyogo replacement de facto. Now, there is a lot of rumours as well circulating around Kvitsgarden, who again is popped in the chat as well here from AGSC Tech. Fist bump, good to see you. Guys, there's about 100 of you joining us across platforms at the moment. Wherever you are watching the show today, please do like, share, retweet. All that good stuff goes a long way to supporting the channel. Just means we might find more Celtic fans to come and hang out in the chat with us and have a good time. If you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button. We recently smashed through 10k. We're now pushing for 18,888. So if you do enjoy the content here you find today, and there's a bunch of it, not just the Kyogo chat here we've got, but the breakdown from last night, as well as the show tonight on a Thursday like we normally do, going over the week and previewing the weekend to come. So there's still some, but like Holmes obviously left the building as well. Is there anything else we can kind of half clean up out of this? Naroki we expect to leave, but everything else is everything else is quite static at the moment besides. So it really does open up the door for like another signing to come in. Rodgers has often spoke about adding in goals. Does Jota really is this the only transfer that happens? I really hope it isn't, because we do have that kind of strong one in, one out policy. I think there is like still a need to like put Yang and Palma on the out column and just replace them now and try and get them out the door, loan, sell, whatever it is that needs to happen here, because Forrest isn't going to get moved on anytime soon. Let's be honest. But yeah, there was some chat. And I kind of want to highlight it again as well, because on the channel, we've often spoke about it, but Kyogo's not been in vintage form for a little while. This is his performances out of 100 in the league and the Champions League this season. If he gets a goal, it guarantees a minimum of 60. So the goals show up very easily, and the frequency of them is very well displayed here, I think, where it is just spotty. It's not really been happening. And like I asked Brendan in the press conference, like we've seen more of his game when he was playing out wide, like actually on the ball, dribbling, link-up play was fantastic. And I asked my question, in my opinion anyway, kind of poorly, but I was trying to get across to him, like, could we use him better? And maybe they've kind of known what's been coming down the pipe, as it were. So that kind of tactical development hasn't really been on the cards for Kyogo necessarily. But, the biggest thing, like over the last 40 matches in all competitions, 30 big chances missed with 51 shots on target and only 3 big chances created, only 12 assists. He's been very much a one-man show. He's been very much I'm the finisher. I'm shooting. And with his hat-trick goals last night that were all like offside and whatever else happened with them all, 1 or 2 of them were like that again, where at 0-0 in that sort of game, he should have been laying the ball off once or twice there. Fair enough, he did hit the back of the net with every one of them. So every time you tip your cap, he's not going to play Kenny. Fair enough. But I do think like the same way that Yang and Ralston are just kind of in the squad, I think like Kenny's like will be relied upon or trusted to at the very least that same level. They also said we were ready to sign Diawara and some other stuff. Yeah, fair enough. Like some of the rumors and all the rest of it, some of the news can be wide of the mark, but this just feels too well covered, too widely reported and verified that I think it is probably going to be happening. Jota has been somewhat idle ever since he left Celtic Park, over this season anyway. He did make his loan move to Rennes permanent after a short couple of months. I think Rennes seen enough, they liked him. But this subsequently changed manager. And the funny thing about this is the manager they brought in is Sampaoli. Now, Sampaoli is he is a real, Bielsa, you might even say that kind of similar kind of thing, principle wise to Ange, is like high intensity, run your socks off for the whole game, press and work hard and all the rest of it. And he has bombed Jota out point blank, and he is interested in Kyogo, and I think that would work out. It will work out for Kyogo, I think, very, very well. I think it's a well suited landing spot in that regard. But because he doesn't fancy Jota, I'm just straight away is that something to maybe think about? Has he got a wee bit comfy? Because when he was at us, he was hungry, and sometimes that's the difference with some of these guys. If we are having chat with Rennes, we are in discussions with them to get another striker in, personally, I would love to see us be linked to Amine Gouiri. Now, Amine Gouiri is a talented attacking player who, yeah, he's got some injury problems and stuff like that, but he's not really been suffering from that this year. He's just not really been cracking the team. This is a guy who's got a lot of talent, got a lot of stardust in his boots, a bit of a talisman, very versatile, can really play anywhere. Maybe isn't like a striker, but can certainly do a similar role to what's been asked of the strikers to this point anyway. And even can, mix it up and play out wide and that kind of thing as well. And this guy is probably somewhat available, I would say. But all the links have been coming from Matthias Kvitsgarden. Now, I'm normally quite standoffish on Kvitsgarden in terms of him being a prospect for us, because normally whenever I come to look at how's he doing domestically, I just, if we look back to the majority of the time he's been linked to us, back here from where you can see the cursor is at the moment, there, it's been quite spotty, and it's is this guy actually going to get into our team? Is he actually going to improve us? But his form this season so far, yeah, I would sign this guy, no problem. His numbers really do stack up. He really has moved on. It feels like he's kind of got a good level of consistency to his game. His numbers are, ever present. And this is a guy that, again, has a bit of versatility, has played a little bit of number 10, is a pacey striker. It's always reminded me of Abada whenever I watch clips of him. Yeah, sorry, the chat's just distracted me a little bit there. Doesn't have nice hair though, Quinny. Only question is, where is Jota's head at? Yeah, I kind of was trying to kind of bring that up as well, I suppose. Stats are only one part of Kyogo's game. I agree with that, angle inertia, right? But again, I see it every game. You do as well. He misses so many chances, and there is chances where, at 0-0, it's always at 0-0s when I think it's a high value thing where you should just be making sure we score. And if, the keeper's close enough to you, you can just slide it to somebody else for an empty net. He should be doing it. And Kvitsgarden, I'm all about. I think this would be a good move for us. And it does feel, but it's it's very much still in the Nicholas Kuhn, Leil Abada, school of transfers, isn't it? He's, we're probably going to need to pay a pretty penny because we're now widely regarded and seen as a Champions League club in the transfer market. All you need to do is look at the transfer fees we had to pay for Trusty and Ida, for example, in the summer. And Bromby are going to want a couple of quid off of us for this, probably the thick end of whatever we get for Kyogo. And they might want a wee transfer sell-on fee on the back of that, which is whatever. And I don't mind that, because this is one of those ones out of that school of transfer, for every Tilio and Home and Yang, there is an Abada or a Kuhn that does kind of emerge. And a guy like this is quite a safe, for lack of a better term, bet in that regard for me. So I would be quite happy to go with this regardless of the fee, as long as it's not exorbitant. But another player that we've been consistently linked to, who I would like to see us ignite our interest in again, because he's still playing all the time, but the links don't go away. So, there's no smoke without fire, similar to Kyogo and one or two other bits and pieces we've seen. And I'm talking about Gustaf Isaksen. Now, Gustaf Isaksen doesn't really, I think if we were to sign him, I think it's more of a squad upgrade, because he can play so many different positions, wide attacking, centre attacking. I don't know if we could play him in that spearhead kind of Kyogo position, really. Not seen enough of him to really speak on that sense, but he is I've seen enough of Lazio to certainly talk on him and say he would be a good addition to our squad. We were interested in him as well coming out of Denmark, and we've been kind of kept our tabs on him ever since he's been in Serie A. And as you can see, he's still featuring frequently, just not a main player, not a 90-minute guy. Is an international player also. And if he's available loan with option to buy, that feels like a move that Celtic should be going after. He's the level of level of player we should be going in for now, point blank. We're a mid-table Champions League club, getting into the playoff zone and all that good stuff. So I would like to see us, if we're going to reignite interest for Kvistgarden, maybe somebody like Isaksen could be back on the table. But if we are going to go for like another like out and out striker, like I would like to see us maybe go for somebody like a Tassos Devas. Now I was going to say Borja Mayoral. I think Borja Mayoral would be like a perfect forward for us, but he's been like blighted with injury this season, so he's a hard guy to go and pay some money for at the moment. Devas, but if you watched the Benfica Barcelona game, Devas and Pavlidis have had the exact same kind of career track record, as it were. We're used to a Greek striker as well, up here in Glasgow as well, of course. But since going to Celtic Vigo, he's just never, like, there's always been someone else that's just been a little bit ahead of him in the pecking order, and he's just really struggled for minutes. He's fully available for transfer this window. He's leaving Celtic. There's just no two ways about it at this stage. And this is a guy that's like a striker, you know, like a proper striker, has a bit of pace, has a bit of strength, knows where the back of the net is, can take a finish on, no problem. And it's done well in Holland. For me, does very well in La Liga, considering the team he's at and the minutes he gets. And he is blatantly available, you know, like could be a very easy deal to get done. And someone that Isaksen has huge tax breaks in Italy. Interesting. So maybe that's why sometimes these things are loans. He's been there for like 2 seasons now, so maybe I don't know what the rules are with that necessarily, but I know it's normally like 3 years might be a number. So I've just said that once as a slip of the tongue, James, and I really didn't mean it. But yeah, it's about time we move on from well, I think that's quite a sweeping statement, you know, because I don't think it's really about the players or anything like that. I don't mind us going back to the J League, but I don't think there's anyone there that's a real standout at the moment. There's a lot of Brazilians moving to that league, which maybe are worth a look for us as well, by the way. But generally, that's not a move I think we would be going after. But we've certainly got bags of cash. We're qualified now. We're going to have 10 games in the Champions League. We already had that big stack of cash in the bank. We're selling O'Reilly and everything. We might be selling Kyogo as well. If Taylor was to leave in this month, maybe we got a little bit of a nominal fee for him, which maybe just balances off something else. And like I said, you know, selling our few irons in the fire. Some other moves could happen potentially. Just wee stocking stuffers to boost the bank balance. And Brendan wants goals, you know. And if we're going to go into the playoff rounds next, like depending on how the draw sits, because at the moment, like if it finished right now, if I heard the people on TV right, we would play either Juve or Real Madrid, or no, Real Madrid or Bayern. We would play one of these teams. So we actually want to finish like at the opposite end of the table of this red zone from whoever we want to play. So if Bruges were to hang on, Bruges are I think Bruges could do it. I think Bruges are through. Yeah, we want Bruges to finish like bottom of this, and we want to finish, we want to get to like 9th then, or up, yeah, as close as we can. Try and get Bruges again. Sporting Lisbon, I wouldn't mind taking on, especially if they were to lose Gyökeres in the window. But anyway, we can chat about all this later. But anyway, we need goals. We need reinforcements, because even after that, if we were to get into 12 games, like any moves we make in this window will only enhance that. Maybe, but again, this is coming from France, McLaughlin. You know, it originates from French reporting. So I don't think it is that, to be honest. But it could be, and I'm not wishing the guy out the door or anything, but like we spoke about when we came live to talk about Kieran Tierney, like it just feels like it's the writing is firmly, the graffiti is on the wall, as we said then, you know. And yeah, so there's another, it was this one here, yeah, reported in France. First of all, this was the first one that came out, so I'm not convinced it's like it's just tabloids pulling their tricks and all the rest of it. But we're in a position of strength in a big way, but we're going to need to spend proper money. So let's hope we spend some proper money, we get some proper players in. And like this one could move really fast. Is Twitter your main source of info? I think for like breaking transfer news, it is the main source of info, like period. Like it just is. It is news. Latest is probably better than top, isn't it? Like this is, Twitter is like where people post news first. It is the first place news is posted. That's just a fact of the matter at this point. Stade Rennes will recruit. This is L'Equipe. They will recruit Kyogo, the Japanese striker. 12 million euros. Agreement between the two clubs is twofold, since it includes a return. Let's click on the article. This is L'Equipe in France, not the Daily Ranger or anything like that. Whatever, just accept. Stade Rennes has found its centre forward. This is L'Equipe. This is a proper publication in, yeah, the Brereton Club. The Breton Club is about to recruit Kyogo Furuhashi, announced by La Parisienne, the Japanese starter, on Wednesday night. Set for 12 million euros. Furuhashi scored 10 goals in 22 Champions League games this season. No, that's not this season, is it? According to our information, signs for 3.5 years until June 2028. The Franco-Scottish exchange includes a second parallel transaction, the departure of Jota to Glasgow, explained by Oost France. According to our information, the Portuguese winger, who left a good image at Celtic, is also subject to a transfer. He will no longer be part of Sampaoli's plans just after 6 months of his arrival from Saudi. Rennes also continuing the prospect of strengthening centre defence and midfield. Started negotiations with Trabzonspor's Baptista Mendy. So yeah, Twitter is a main source. It is the main source of info. Breaking news. This is where it happens. I don't see it like that, but I don't see it like that. Like this is reputation journalism, but this isn't sensational journalism. In this space, it's about being credible. You know, it's about backing your stuff up. Like there's the meme going around about Ekrem Kanur. Like, you know, when you see that guy posting something, then you know it's nonsense. Now, I don't mind indulging in some Ekrem Kanur like speculation once in a while, but this guy has no credibility, you know, for example, and people know it, people talk about it, you know. So anyway, I think this is happening, guys. Like transfer done. Like keep a reporting on it is it being done. I'd take Lille, not a bad game either. Lille have been kind of like not mugs in this Champions League, but they might have they fell out? Oh, they have fell out of the top 8. Brest would be decent as well if we could somehow manage that one. Very beatable, but again, not to be. There's no mugs here. Like the game 9 and 10 will be the toughest by a long distance. I'd like Rodgers to bring in someone that could score a free kick. Yeah, that'd be cool for me as well. Remember when he signed for MLS? Yeah, I do remember that. But that like kind of was like leaks and like whispers and stuff. It wasn't like people saying there's a deal getting done as much. It was like his profile appeared. Like, there was some like rumors and stuff, but then at that time it was like his profile appeared on the website. You know, like it was more of a weird happenstance, wasn't it? And by the way, yeah, double announcement, Tierney and Jota. Like, oh Jesus, man. How many sins of the past does that forgive to so many people, do you think? I'm thinking about the board as well, you know, to some people. And yeah, I would like us. I don't see us doing anything exotic. Like I don't see us going back to MLS. I don't see us going back to Japan or South America. I think this is a European-based transfer, which is why Kvistgaarden looks like quite unlikely. You know, I think we'll be able to get this deal done. I think he's in good enough form where like I can get behind this in a big way. And like if he is good enough, it could work out lovely. He's got very good physical attributes as well. Let's say I liken him like when you watch him like Tabada, like he's very direct, very good running power. He's a bit stronger, a bit stockier, of course. And similar to Abada, he's got like he just gets goals and assists. Like he just makes it happen. Can punch in bunches as well in a big match. So, but does have like I don't know what these DNPs are about. You know, he's not played these matches, but hope it's not injury because again we've been linked to Balakwisha. And it's that sort of level of move, which is why I think Isaksen should be back on the table because if we are previously linked to Balakwisha, this is the level of transfer, you know, this is the sort of level we've got into the food chain, as it were. And Isaksen's definitely somebody I'd want to keep our tabs on, as well as maybe explore the possibility of somebody like Devas here, who has made it decent, a decent shout of at a top 5 league without properly cracking it. Katie and Jota made us 50 million quid. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I don't think we want to lose Kyogo. It just feels like it's happening. And he is like, it is football, you know, like players that get 2 years under contract at 30. It's kind of like the prime time to sell them, you know. When is Kyogo's contract up with us? 2027. So after this year, he's got 2 seasons left, you know, so it's like now or the summer, really, isn't it? I don't think so. I don't think there's any deflecting from our achievements because we're still dancing, you know. It doesn't remove anything. It's not like Kyogo has been the one-man Celtic team, far from it. We've done this as a team. As Brendan Rodgers has mainly orchestrated it, of course, but good squad management, good game management with Atalanta away. Yeah, there's some opportunities lost. Bruges is just terrible luck. We really should have beat them. And Zagreb, we really should have been better against them. But it's not as if we're like, oh, without Kyogo, we're screwed kind of situation. Far from it. Yeah, Glenn's kind of hitting on the point we spoke about earlier. And if we look back at the depth chart again, and we think about maybe the introduction or the addition of some of the guys we just spoke about here, like another centre forward type, like Kvistgarden again, I don't know. I don't think he's an out and out centre forward. I think he's a guy that we've seen as well play on this side of the pitch quite often. So if he, and I'm talking about for Bromby, of course, he's played this kind of number 10 role. But I think when you look at their actual shape, changing the screens is a bit of a nightmare, but I'll do it if it shows it. 2 seconds. Kvistgarden. And then let's look when he's played Cam. Yeah, I'll show it because this is the sort of attacking midfield spot he's been playing for Bromby. Is it's like off the striker, him and Yuito Suzuki, who again has been by the way, Yuito Suzuki is maybe a player we should be looking at. Let's look at Yuito Suzuki. He has been frightening, just scores all the time. Maybe it's on went up have a dry patch there, but he was on just tearing it up in Denmark as well. So again, quite a similar player, would maybe bed into our squad quite well, you would think. But Kvistgarden, I say I'm not convinced he's an out and out striker like Kyogo is. He's maybe a bit more versatile. And maybe just plays into the squad dynamic as much as somebody like an Isaksen would. Like I was just chatting about a minute ago with him. As much as we're saying, if Kyogo goes out, we would need a replacement. Maybe it is Maeda, Kenny, Ida. Maybe that's the new striker core. And then if we did bring in a Kvistgarden, he can maybe play up here. He can maybe play here. There's maybe some options you've got on your hands all of a sudden. Because Kuhn seems kind of versatile, but there's no real willingness to change him sides. And Jota, I think, is only going to live on this side of the pitch, especially because one of the main problems we had last time was that Jota, his best position was on the left, and so is Daisen Maeda's. And when Jota was here, Daisen was on the right, with Kyogo through the middle, and it was Maeda and Abada was the big thing for a lot of time. So this could be a real holy trinity, Jota, Kuhn, and Maeda. It might not be worth disrupting that. You bring in someone like a Kvistgarden or an Isaksen that can just complete the front kind of line here for now. You move out the likes of Palma and whatever. And then you've got Forest, and maybe there's some space for someone to come through eventually if there's ever any kind of time with the academy. Yeah, I think this could be amazing. This could be amazing because Dyson is doing that centre forward job, finishing chances, scoring goals, being a poacher, and is mad selfless, unlike Kyogo. So that could be a mad upgrade in so many levels. And then you've got the flair of Jota on one side to match the flair of Kuhn on this side. Sincerely, could be unreal potential. And then you add in Tierney and maybe one or two other moves over the next window or so. Or Yaster is another one that we've been linked to. Of course, we spoke about him on the Tierney video, I think, because that link it came out around that time as well. And again, high value guys out of these leagues, I think we can afford one or two of them to come in. Especially if we do snag Jota. If we snag Jota, buying an Orjaster, a Kvistgarden, an Isaksen is a huge statement of intent, is a huge upgrade, is a huge just turn of the page moment, where we're spending big money again on top of Ida, on top of Engels, on guys that should be pushing the best 11, but are firmly just to make the squad better, because that's the level we're getting to now where we want to be mid-table or better Champions League every year, yeah. I can't say I've saw enough of him. I think we're maybe talking about a few different players and stuff like that. Kenny and maybe, but again, again, it's just for versatility. If you did need Maeda to cover this side, you then have Kenny for the bench for behind Ida. I don't think there's any problems with that as things stand at the moment. There's so many fun options and permutations of how this could all work around, I suppose. But I do think in the immediate, before anything else happens, we have to be looking at Dyson playing through the middle. And it would be gutting. Especially not because, like I said in the preview to the Champions League game, I wanted Taylor, I wanted Kyogo, I wanted Tatate. I wanted those three guys to really write their name on a folklore match. And I think Taylor put in a good shift. Don't get me wrong. I think it was a good 7, wasn't he? And Kyogo really should have had that, a goal, or at least, he really should have won us that match. Tatate pretty much did have his moment with the chance he creates for Ida, which was nice enough, I suppose. But yeah, it's quite gutting that Kyogo maybe doesn't have a real farewell, kind of thing, because he very much deserved. And like cult, not even cult, modern day hero is I think what we called him at the top of the show, because when he came in, we were at the bottom of despair, and it was just as soon as he came in along with the manager change and one or two other players, it just really like brought us back up to where we should have been, Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Maeda could be I don't think any scout in the world could find a better replacement for Kyogo than Dyson Maeda. Really, like you'd have to. Really, they must just look around all world football and go, "He's there. He's wearing number 38. He's the next number 8, as it were." So yeah, it feels good on that front. And yeah, maybe there's some other moves that come out the pipeline as well. I don't mind us maybe making some speculative moves, maybe buying a guy or two, and maybe midfield that's like under 2 million quid that could just fill. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting Lennon Miller. Feels like he is firmly Europe bound at this stage, which is fine, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, because I think we all kind of knew he wouldn't be guaranteed minutes, and that would probably stifle his development. It's probably not good for the Scottish game period. Especially when we get this midfield composition in front of us here. So I wouldn't mind us going still for someone in that kind of mould that can fill that squad position to give extra competition and an extra dimension into midfield. But again, the main thing we're missing is someone that just has that defensive nose. At the end of the game, we're bringing on Scales to go 5-3-1, which fair enough. But the better thing to do, because not better, it's sort of each to their own, I suppose. But like, it's like going super defensive. You're just inviting them onto yourself, and sod's law, you can concede in those situations. But if you had like a shielder, like a proper CDM, then that could have been a move that could have came on, to sit next to McGregor, double pivot in front of the back four. Because Rodgers normally likes to go 4-3-2 when he's down to 10 men. Now, obviously, last night is a different kettle of fish entirely, but point stands. Yeah, some great chat happening in here as well, guys. Please do hit the like button as well. There's about 170, 180 of you joining us live this morning across platforms, which is great to see. Wherever you're finding this, please do hit the like button, share, retweet, and all that good stuff. I'll have another quick kind of scan about. I don't think there'll be any more kind of news happening on this one at the moment, but it feels like let me just put in Celtic transfer just to finish this up in case, because again, we did say after Young Boys is when the transfer window starts for us. Alex Valle is probably going to go to Como. Kyogo sounds like he's on his way to Rennes. Jota very close to returning to Celtic. Yeah, so I just seen a funny one. Oh, and Louis Barry. Louis Barry, by the way, that was one I'd be quite excited for. And again, I'd happily, the reported fee here, 10 million quid we've had rejected. I'd happily go for somebody like that. They want him, Villa want to keep him. So maybe Villa are just playing hardball with us before the game next week. But yeah, there's nothing else really happening on the Celtic front. I had a laugh at this one. Brendan telling Maeda to get sent off to force a winger transfer. So I got to love it. Magic. But guys, we will be back today. There'll be a video out at some point. So make sure to subscribe. Turn notifications on if you want, but just make sure to hit subscribe and then you'll get it when it comes out. The breakdown, the analysis from last night, the difference from the first half to the second half, everything we've seen and what we've got to think about going into the Aston Villa game. And then later live tonight at 7:30, we will be live for the Soria Celtic Supporters Club. We'll be chatting about all this transfer caper, what we've seen last night, and what we'll be looking at coming up for Dundee at home and Aston Villa away. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. Thanks to everyone that has joined us live. It's been an absolute pleasure getting you in here this morning. And yeah, hail, hail, and moan the hoops.